Disney Interactive made a ton of games, or at least published them, or developed them. So they made a bunch of games throughout the '90s, which is where most of these are going to take place. Probably into the early 2000s as well.
Hmm.
Maybe some of these are in the late '80s also. I don't know if you could consider these brand mascots, right? Because Disney just owns the IP. So
Well, they were Disney characters. A lot of these games were based off were Disney owned characters. So
they are
uh,
mascots, though. I mean, I just don't. I don't know if it falls in the same line as what we were talking about in our last video, which was all about brand mascots. These are mascots. They are Disney's mascots, right? But they're almost like independent because they're their own IP. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I don't know. You guys can debate this in the comments, but for now, we're going to talk about Disney Interactive games. We're going to kick things off with an awesome movie slash game, Nightmare Before Christmas, PS2 and OG Xbox. Wes, have you played this one?
I did. Did you play it?
I have it. I have not played it.
It's very God of War like
No way.
in the yeah, God of War, Devil May Cry ish. It's an action game.
That's awesome.
It's an action game.
I'm about to fire up my PS2, Wes. Make me do it.
Yeah, it's set in Night Before Christmas universe, and yeah, it was. I remember. Oh man, I remember seeing it at E3 one year when they showed it to us, and I was like, oh, interesting. It looks like God of War or that mechanic, that straight action game mechanic.
Did it follow like the same story as the movie, or was it like a sequel or a spin-off, or do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I
Well,
don't remember.
definitely something I would want to check out. Uh, on PS2, the game's going to run you about $50 today, probably about the same that it cost when it came out. If you want to save some money, be smart and get it on the Xbox. $31 on the good old OG Xbox.
If I don't remember that coming out on Xbox, I vividly remember the PS2 version. I don't
Yeah,
remember
the
the
PS2 version is the
Xbox.
one I have. So I bet you it was probably like a lower print run also, just
Hmm.
because PS2 was more dominant during that period of time. I don't know. I don't know.
Huh. But the next Disney game, Disney. When we talk about Disney and their games, period, most of the time their games are really, really good.
Surprisingly, yeah. Like
Their games
I
are
would
really, really
say 7 or 8 out of 10 times their games are good, if not
and
great.
and this one, Castle of Illusion with Mickey, was top notch. Loved it.
Awesome
That
game.
that's a classic.
It is. It was a really good game from start to finish, and it's also a good game for kids. Like if I think it's a pretty fair challenge for like younger children to play. It's not going to like break their brains. They're not going to get like crazy or anything like that. But it is also challenging. It's not like super easy either. It's really well balanced. It's really well balanced,
Hmm.
and I don't remember there being a lot of like cheap deaths or anything like that. You get these balls and like you kind of throw the balls as like your weapon. Uh,
Hmm.
there's a witch in the castle. I remember getting to the witch. I don't really remember what happens. It's been a few years since I've beaten that game, like 25 or 30 years. So I, I don't recall all the details. Like it just looks spectacular on the Genesis.
It did because that's where I initially owned it on the Genesis. And then fast forward to 360, it was available for download in their arcade. So I have it downloaded on my 360, and then you can also get it on your mobile phone on smartphones. They released like a mobile version of it, and it plays fantastic.
Speaking of more Disney stuff, Quackshot, Wes. We're going to talk later about our lists for this convention. I gotta get Quackshot, man. I looked for this last year at SoCal. It wasn't. I couldn't find it anywhere. Maybe it was there and I missed it. But that's probably like out of my all the targets I have, that's got to be like
Mhm.
number one or number two. Like I have to find Quackshot, especially because between last year and this year, it raised $15, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, because now Quackshot will cost you about $45.
Yeah, it was 30 last year when I was searching for it.
I Quackshot is on my list too. I surprisingly do not own that one. I thought I had it, but guess not. And now I'm on the hunt for it.
I never rented it either. When I was a kid, like I in my head, Wes, right now, I can see it in the video store sitting on the shelf and me just passing it by over and over and over again, just never renting it. And then I found out it's like, the true sequel to a Castle of Illusion. Like not,
Mhm.
not literally a sequel, but like, if you liked Castle of Illusion, this is the game you should play.
It's the game you should get next.
I had no idea.
Yeah, man. I saw it last year at Too Many Games, and I didn't pick it up. But now I'm definitely going. It's on my list. It's on my list this year.
Yeah, you got to fill in those old holes from
Hmm.
the Genesis, man. Well, I told you that too. Like too many games out, or not too many games. SoCal Gaming Expo out here last year. There's hardly any Genesis games, man. Like there was some, but it was like a joke. It was like a joke. I was so disappointed. And you were like, "Oh, too many games. There was Genesis games everywhere." I'm like,
Yeah, they were.
let's actually go to World of Illusion next, which is technically with the sequel to
The
Castle of Illusion.
sequel, correct.
Apparently not as good as Quackshot, but I also never played it, so I couldn't judge it. But another a sequel with Mickey Mouse in it.
Now, World of Illusion, that one had Mickey and Donald in it, correct?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know, but I heard it was not as good as Castle of Illusion, and also not as good as Quackshot. So something to look out for, though. If I ran into World of Illusion, I would check it out just because. Like we were talking about, all the Disney games are at least pretty good for the most part. So I'm assuming you haven't played World of Illusion either.
Yeah, World of Illusion is Mickey and Donald. Because yeah, I do have World of Illusion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Cool.
I did play it. Was it better than Castle of Illusion? No, no.
But I would imagine it was still probably pretty good.
It was decent. It was decent.
Okay.
If I have to pick between the two, yeah, Castle of Illusion is probably the better of the two. Is one of my favorites.
And then speaking with the Mickey stuff, let's stick with that for a minute. Mickey Mania was on Sega CD. I had never
Mm-hmm.
owned a Sega CD. I still don't have a Sega CD, surprisingly.
Oh,
But
you got to get one. You got to get one.
I don't need more libraries to buy for Wes. Tell me about Mickey Mania, since I know you had a Sega CD. I'm sure you
I
still
do,
have it.
yeah, and I do still have Mickey Mania. It was a I don't want to say a Castle of Illusion, but it was a side-scrolling game where you kind of traversed Mickey's career.
Oh, so you started like back like in like the 30s or
Yeah,
whatever
there
the
was
hell that
like
was.
a Steamboat Willie
Yeah,
level.
yeah,
Yeah, and it was like a similar like Castle of Illusion level, but yeah, you kind of went through different time periods of Mickey.
that's cool. But yeah, more side scrolling, which is pretty much all of these games. Now this game I don't think was the side scroller. I hated the movie, so I never even thought about playing the game. Tell me about Fantasia, sir.
You didn't like Fantasia?
No, my sister used to put it on. I used to want to like bash my head into a wall. I was so bored with that movie.
It was the music. I mean, it was. We put it on. I remember growing up watching it, and I liked it, especially the Mickey scene, the Sorcerer's Apprentice scene, is what this game is based off of.
I mean, that was a cool scene, but
Mhm. But
it
I
was just there,
remember
there was no talking, right? There was no like story.
there was no story. It was
Yeah.
like shorts set to operatic music or
Okay.
classical music. But I remember like when my son was a baby and he would get kind of cranky, we would put on Fantasia and the music kind of soothed him and he kind of mellowed out.
I mean, that's cool.
Um,
I think I was probably too old at the time for that to have its effect on me. I was probably like,
yeah,
the hell was
you were
that?
probably beyond that.
Yeah. You're not shooting anything. What is this? What is this crap?
But yeah, the Fantasia game for the Genesis, it's based off the Mickey segment, and he's like a sorcerer, and you're fighting like these brooms
Remember the
that,
brooms. I remember the dancing brooms.
that come to life. Again, it's another side scrolling platformer. It was okay. Definitely, again, nowhere near as good as Castle of Illusion.
So that followed the movie. Then there was just like the
Hmm.
shorts were like stages. I'm guessing.
This, it was more of just the Mickey stuff. I don't think the other stuff was included. It was just, from what I remember, it was just the Mickey stuff.
Hmm.
But if I'm wrong, please leave a comment. But I really want to say it was just the Mickey stuff.
Okay.
It's like they made a whole game around that one segment.
Aladdin.
Top
Awesome.
notch. Top notch.
I mean, we're talking about a top five Genesis game here. Super Nintendo's fine too, but I'm talking about a top five. Like this game is so damn good, and it looks so damn good,
Hmm.
and it plays so damn good. You gotta
It
have
looked
Aladdin.
it looked like it was ripped straight from the film. It looked so good and played so well, so smooth. The animation was so smooth.
Yeah, I mean the good thing out there, if you don't have the game, this game sold a ton of copies. You can probably get it for $20 or less.
Hmm.
Just because there's so many of them out in the wild. If you go anywhere and they have Genesis games, you're probably going to see a copy of Aladdin. Jungle Book also came out during this time, and we'll throw in Lion King with it because they all maybe they didn't come out like at the same exact time, but within that pocket, let's say a few years span. Jungle Book better than Lion King. That's for damn sure. That game Lion King was hard as hell.
I was going to say Lion King is like almost impossible.
Yeah, the story behind that, to keep it short and sweet, it was they had to make it for like arcade, so they specifically made like the second or third level like hard as hell, the one where you have to like bounce in the trees and stuff.
Mm.
Uh, instead of being smart and fixing that in the console version, they just said, nah, just leave it in, it's fine. So, yeah. Luckily, we have the Disney Classic Collection, which is available on like Switch, PS4,
Hmm.
Xbox One, and that one you can actually, rewind and stuff, so you can actually beat Lion King now without bashing your head against the wall.
Yeah, I think I picked that up for the Switch. It combined Lion King and Aladdin.
Yes, and then that is true. And later they released Jungle Book, which you could download separately, or you
Really?
could, yeah, they re-released the game that if you go to the store today, you're going to see the version with Jungle Book. If you
Hmm.
have the cart, you can download the Jungle Book for like a few dollars and it adds it into the game.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just have the one with the two, with Lion King and Aladdin.
Yeah, I had that originally, but then I did download the Jungle Book one when that came out. And Jungle Book's a good game too. I would say below Aladdin, above
Hmm.
Lion King. Toy Story. Never played it. Genesis, Super Nintendo. Maybe PS1. I think this might have came out on PS1 also.
Well, there were PS1 versions of Toy Story.
Hmm.
I know there was a Buzz Lightyear for PS1, but Toy Story was, it was, yeah, based on the popularity of the movie. So of course they were going to do a game.
Yeah,
Side scrolling. You played as Woody. I remember playing as Woody. It was
yeah. You do some running, you do some jumping. It's fine.
not one of my favorites.
Yeah, I had no ambition to play the game. I did enjoy the movie, when the movie came out, but
I mean,
I didn't know if I ever played the game.
there's people that love it. When my store Level Up was open, we would get people looking for Toy Story a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure they're trying to like relive that, childhood memory. I'm sure they bought the game, played it when the movie came out. At least enjoyed it well enough for the time. Much like the Little Mermaid on the Sega Genesis. Again, I never played this game. Uh, Little Mermaid movie is a great movie. Never had an interest in playing the game. Know very little about it. I have no idea what it's like. I'm imagining it's like Echo the Dolphin, maybe.
Never played it. I mean, I at the time I didn't have any girls, so yeah, I wasn't buying Little Mermaid.
Yeah, me neither. So
I was gonna buy it. And then there was also Beauty and the Beast that came out
yes,
for the Genesis too. So now that one game was awful, awful, awful.
never played that one either. So I will take your word on that.
Well, I remember getting it because then I wound up having girls, and yeah, it was awful, awful.
I believe it. I believe it. Epic Mickey 1 and 2 originally came out on the Wii, eventually got ported to other consoles. Uh, this game was made by Warren Spector, who made a bunch of like really popular games. System Shock, right? He made System Shock, correct? I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
At least he worked on it, as far as I remember. But it was a big deal when he made Epic Mickey. I remember it was super popular.
Mhm.
I remember playing it. I went to E3 one time, and this was one of the games I got to play, and it was surprisingly good. I ended up buying the game when it came out. I never finished it though, but it was a good game, especially for the Wii. It was a damn good Wii game, Wes.
Mhm.
The sequel I did not play. What is your familiarity with Epic Mickey 1 and 2?
I was excited for the first one to come out because it looked really good, and I never did the second one. Never did the second one. I did play the first one. I never finished it,
Okay, so similar boat.
but I did enjoy what I was playing at the time. So
Was Oswald in the first one too, or was that in the second one? Oswald was in the first one, right?
I think Oswald was in the first one.
But you had the paintbrush and like you were like painting and
Mhm.
stuff. It was a cool
Mhm.
game.
That's what happens when you get old. You can't remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think I wonder how many times this episode we played or said I don't remember, especially me, and I'm younger
I,
than you.
I really want to say Oswald was in the first one because that was like yeah. Because then yes,
Yeah,
I'm going to stick with a yes.
I'll,
If
I'll
I'm
I'll back you up. I'll say yeah.
if I'm wrong, please let us know. But I want to say yes.
Now this show I watched, but I'd never played any of the games, and that's Tailspin, and I liked the show quite a bit when I was a kid. But tell me about Tailspin with Turbo Graphics.
It was surprising to see a Disney game on a TurboGrafx. The game itself was not good, but for a TurboGrafx game, complete in box, you're looking about $62. So yeah, that was like the one and done for them.
Yeah, I mean that show wasn't around for many years. I don't think. I think that was only on TV for like a handful of seasons, like 3 years, 4 years, something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering though.
Because I know Disney had their block,
Yeah.
of animated shows, and then they try to do games based off those shows because not only did you have Tailspin, but you had Chip and Dale's.
Oh yeah.
You did one and two. You had and then you also had Ducktales. So and both of those had games. Chip and Dale's had games for the NES. Ducktales was out for NES.
Yeah, the sad thing is I never played Chip and Dale 2 and I never played DuckTales 2. They're both a little harder to find. They're both kind of expensive. But the first ones I played on both, and they're both excellent, excellent NES games. Capcom did them both, I think. Definitely did Chip and Dale, and I'm pretty sure Capcom was the one who did DuckTales also. But
Yeah, but Ducktales one complete in box for Nintendo was like $110.
yeah.
But then Ducktales 2 $750.
Oh yeah, yeah. DuckTales, just the
What?
card alone is hard to find. Same thing
So
with Chip and Dale too.
did you do the Ducktales remake?
I did, and it was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Just as hard?
Um, I don't know if it was just as hard. It might have been a little bit easier. You still had the was it pogo stick? That stick you're like, hit smacking stuff with the stick. I don't know that it was as hard. If I remember correctly, I think it was a little bit easier. But they also add stuff to those games that like give you options. I want to say it had like rewind and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I could be misremembering things, but it's still a good game. I just the nostalgia's not there. I need to play the OG. I got to play the OG
Okay.
Ducktales. Got to play the OG Chip and Dale. The Disney Afternoon Collection is a great way to play some of those
Mm-hmm.
games as well. That was on Xbox One, Switch, PS4. Mickey Speedway USA. This is an N64 game made by Rare. Yes, the one Rare game no one talks about in the N64. Supposed to be a very good kart racing game. Yes, they also did Diddy Kong Racing, but this is not that. I never played it. I'm definitely interested in it. It's on my list to try to pick up. So I'll be looking out for that. Have you ever played Mickey's Speedway?
I didn't.
If you need yet another racing game for your N64, there you go. Now we're going to talk about. We didn't even look the prices up for these. We probably should have done that. But Disney Sports on GameCube, some of these are crazy expensive. Like I'm talking like a grand, I think, for one of them.
What is it? The basketball, the Disney basketball one
Yeah,
is like $1,000.
pretty sure it's like a grand. Let me look it up really quick. But did you ever try any of these, Wes? Have you checked them out at all?
I didn't, and I saw them.
Oh yeah.
And being that I had kids and they were all into like the backyard sports series,
hmm
I don't know why I didn't pick these up. I can kick myself, but
I'm pretty sure I remember working at either EB or GameStop and like turning
hmm
around and seeing like a stack of them West in the case, and they were on clearance and they were probably like $10 or $20,
yep,
sealed,
yep.
sealed, just sitting there. No one bought them. God only knows how much we gave those away for, but $927 if you have a complete in box copy of Disney Sports Basketball on the GameCube.
That went down.
If you
That
kept the
dropped in
sealed
price.
one, $2,688 is what they're going for today.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
And the game's
Why?
also terrible, by the way. It's got a 37 on Metacritic.
Why didn't we pick those up back then?
Why the hell would we want to? I remember looking at like, who the hell wants this? I was like, $10. That's way too much for this. Now they're like $1,000 complete. They're $1,000.
Like I said, my kids were into the backyard sports, and normally I would pick up stuff to play with them, and I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I didn't, but oh well.
Yeah, they also had football.
Uh
Let's
huh.
check that really quick.
Yeah, there was base. I want to say there was basketball, football, and baseball, or was it soccer?
It was soccer. Disney Sports Football on GameCube, $185 complete, 536 sealed.
Mm-hmm.
And then soccer, I imagine soccer's probably a little bit more, but I'm guessing. Oh no, I'm wrong. Soccer is only $65 complete and 188 sealed
So basketball is the most expensive one.
by far.
Yeah, man, we just ran through a whole bunch of Disney games, man. Disney made some really really good games.
Yeah, they did. Despite us making this pretty comprehensive list, it's not totally comprehensive. So if you know of any games that we missed, go ahead and drop them in there. Obviously, we talked about most of the older generations. I'm sure there's newer Disney games. Who the hell cares? Eventually, people will care when it's old again. But yeah, if there's any good ones or something, shout them out. If there's anything you think we deserved to talk about that we didn't, drop a comment. Let us know.
Please do.